You can layer you can layer floating geometry on top of each other, right? So you can do, I've given you the demonstration where I have like a hole and then a screw inside that hole. You can do that, and those can be two separate objects, okay? They don't have to be attached by geometry, but you do have to have it combined all back together again, okay? So you have to combine the geometry for it to do that match by mesh name baking. Let me get a plane set up here, though, and we'll kind of model that thing out that you're talking about there, okay? So let me do some work here. What I'm gonna work on first here is I'm gonna work on the grate, okay? So let's do a grate like that. Can't just duplicate it though. I'm gonna have to make a new plane, unfortunately. Because yeah. Now this is just gonna be normal map information here, okay? And I would highly recommend that you look into doing the ID map information that I was telling you guys about too here, okay? Let's get some geometry in here to get a grate going, okay? 50 seems to be where it wants to cap me off, so I guess that works for me. Whatever. So now, what I'm gonna do here is a little extreme probably. Bear with me. Let's get a grate going. I'm gonna grab all these faces because it the picture that you gave me is kind of like wire grate. It's not holes in a mesh. It's lots of strings put together. So this is the way I would approach an effect like that. You're not baking IDs in Maya, Anthony. You're baking IDs in Substance Painter. I'll show you how to do that, okay? It's just one of your many bakes. So I did an extrude face here. We're gonna take the faces off though. I'm gonna keep them separate. I'm just gonna click on offset over here. And we can offset these guys like this. Let's push them down too. Push them down in here. And then delete. There we go. Now I've got my grate going here, kind of going. They're kind of slanted too. I think soft select might be able to do the job, but that's going to be kind of stressful, I would say. So let me see if I could find a deformer that we can do like a okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a lattice deformer. That's probably going to be better for me. All right. Actually, I don't really need, yeah, I only need very few divisions here. I don't need any T divisions really. So this is a lattice deformer. It's basically giving me a square on top of this mesh here. And that's kind of an ultimate modeler tool. So I'm just going to hold this and kind of shift it over. And now it's kind of morphing all of that into more of like a diamond shape pattern. It's kind of what I'm looking for there for that. So I may need to make this guy a little bit bigger just to kind of squeeze it in that area that I want to. But that looks about what you should be getting there, okay? Okay, yeah, let's delete the history on this so we're not messing with that deformer. Okay, so we have what we need here. We're kind of slanted. You may need to do this bigger or smaller depending on what exactly you're going for here. Actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do like a marquee select with faces. I don't know if that's selected or not. Yeah, okay, it did. I'm just gonna select everything but that and then just delete all of that. There we go. Now I have something that can stay under floating geometry. No need to do a Boolean or anything like that. It's a little weak. This is just high-res geometry that we're working with right now, so the geometry does not have to look super fancy. It doesn't have to be extremely clean. Okay. So that's my little grate there. I don't know why it's kind of shaded really weird on some of these. Who knows? Let's get blends on these two. You guys should be working with some kind of blend here, because that's going to give us a little bit of a shine and let us really see what's happening here, right? Okay. Still don't know why I'm getting that like individual kind of work going there. Do I have to soften this stuff or something? Okay, yeah, I just had to soften it for some reason. I don't know why. Okay, now let's get now we need your holes next. Okay, so your holes is what is coming up next. Let me just grab this plane here and duplicate it, and we'll use this for your holes now. Okay. So let me just grab an area that is going to cover this. I'm going to isolate my view here. That didn't help. I'm going to grab this, and let's just get rid of these outside areas. And this is going to be like my projection area. So now I can kind of, let's see, your holes were kind of rectangular, so this should work for you here. Something like this, right? We can just delete those faces. Actually, we should extrude them in first. Let's take advantage of the selection that's already there. Offset these guys a little bit so they taper in. Okay, and now I hit delete. Okay, so there we go. Since we have these external areas out here, this will bake in like that as a normal map, okay? I kind of went a little bit low on this, so let's kind of slide you around so I'm not cutting off on my grate there. Or maybe that's something you want. You know, it actually might be kind of cool if you, you know, we can come in here and grab some of these faces and just kind of like chew away at this thing and make it look like a rat kind of got in there or something, right? That's cool. That's cool information, right? But that'll bake in. Okay, Robbie? You need to make sure that this is combined together, all together with what you're projecting onto. We can probably lose this. We don't need this guy. And we may not, well, actually you do need this guy because you want to cover up the grate. No problem. No problem. But yeah, just make sure that you're covering up the grate that you don't want to see, but combined all this together. Try to get this stuff as close as you can to the surface here too, okay? So let me go over here, because I think the plane is right here on the y-axis. So I'm going to grab these shapes and really just push it as close as I can here, okay? Because what's going to happen is this stuff has to fit in the envelope. Okay, I think I need to pull this up just a little bit now. There we go. These details need to fit in the baking envelopes, and when our models are baking, it projects an envelope out off of the model, and it has to be inside that area for it to bake the high-res geometry onto the game res as a normal map, okay? Would it just be easier to delete the faces you're covering? I don't know about that. I mean, yeah, if you have added geometry in here, I would say if this is close to an edge or a corner, you could just delete some of those faces over there. That's fine, Mark. Yeah, that also works. It just depends on your situation. Right now, I'm just kind of being lazy. It's better to have some extra overhang for these things just to make sure that sometimes normal maps, when you guys make them extra deep and extra tall, sometimes they kind of shoot off into perspective. So instead of projecting your normals like this, it'll do something like this, where it kind of, like, you get a little bit of a warping there, where it's like, you know, this isn't flatly projected. So it's better to make your stuff as flat as possible, really. But yeah, if any of that perspective gets baked in there, then maybe some of your guys out here will kind of stick out a little bit on the edge. So just to be safe on that, right? But this will bake onto the game res as a normal map, as long as it's here in the high res. Okay, it's floating geometry. And yeah, that should be pretty clear. Oh, okay. So the last thing I wanted to cover was the ID maps. Okay. Is everyone cool with this so far? Anybody have any questions? Please let me know. Right. I want to make sure it's very clear to everybody what exactly you're looking for here too. Now, you may, you obviously put in here that you want to do opacity, right? That you want to be able to see inside of that. Now you're gonna have to have geometry in there, Robbie, if you want to have opacity there, though. Okay. What I normally say with most students is, let me start working on my ID map. So I mean, what I'm doing here is I'm going to put just another material. Let's do like a I think I had to do Fong because I don't think that FBX has liked surface shader for some reason. So try not to use surface shader. But I'm just going to click on like red. Okay. So red is going to be like my holes here, right? Actually, yeah. So red's gonna, I want red to be my holes. So I'm going to do something like this here, where I'm projecting red back there. I'm gonna grab these outside faces because I don't want that to be red. We're gonna grab these outside faces and make a new material. We're gonna do another Fong. This one's going to be, we don't need a map. We're just doing RGB information. So just make sure you're grabbing like a blue, a green, and a red, right? Okay. So now I've got red is gonna be my holes. I'm gonna grab these guys as well. We can make those blue as well. So this is what it's gonna kind of bake on there, is that kind of information. Once again, if my geometry is not matching up here, then I may need to, I don't think this is gonna get in the way of anything. I'm not gonna see that blue through there probably. So let's put that guy on blue as well. There we go. So I shouldn't really be seeing any reds on the edges there. Just be careful with that. You may need to move some geometry around, okay? These guys are probably not going to do that either. There we go. And, really, if you want the grates to be a different color, you can do that, okay? So if I wanted to make that a whole nother whole nother color, then that's also good too. I apologize. I'm pretty sure that's green. Sorry, I'm like extremely colorblind, so I'm working the best I can here. Let me turn this on flat lighting. There we go. So this is kind of what your maps are going to look like there, okay? Now what this does, okay? What this does is this is going to bake onto your game res as just RGB information like this. This is an ID map, okay? This is something I would say is really nice to have if you are if you're modeling high res information that's not going to be on the game res at all as geometry, okay? So something like this right here is going to bake onto my game res geometry, and within Substance Painter I have masking selections that will allow me to take that ID map and just grab an RGB color and just automatically put a mask on that color, okay? So if I wanted to do holes in here, then I could just select red and say, I want you to put opacity right there, and it'll just mask it out for you automatically, right? but you have to use full colors. Like you have to use full blue, full red, full green. If you have like purples and stuff in there, then it's gonna grab a little bit of the colors between them, or put like a half mask on there, okay? And you don't want that. So you basically have 3 colors to work with here. R, G, and B. And if you want to use that for different areas, you can. Like if you want something else to be green, you can do that. Just put like a, to separate them from each other with the masks, just kind of put another paint layer over it and mask the other stuff out, okay? But this is a great tool for you to bake in there to get your stuff masked in completely. Now, Robbie, I would say in your situation, most people would not put opacity in there because you really don't have a lot of room to see details in there. Does that make sense to you? If you put like a generator or something back there, you really wouldn't see a lot of that, okay? So usually what I tell people to do in a situation like this is to put an abyss back there, okay? And I'll teach you how to do that. It's basically just shadow information that receives no lighting at all. It's just gonna be like a black hole back there. So you can do that. Or once again, if you want to put like a little shadow box back here, you can do that as well, where you kind of we put a little cube back here maybe. Delete the face here. I wouldn't do a lot though, right? So if you wanted that red to be opacity, and you wanted to just put some simple details in here, not a lot of UV space probably either, okay? You do something like this, and then you can have like a generator, maybe a rat's nest back here. But I mean, you have to paint that stuff in, and that's gonna take a little bit. But I mean, you would get a little bit of parallaxing though, where the camera kind of adjusts and you can see into it. That's up to you really, okay? I'm trying to save you UV space on a lot of this though, okay? So your call on that. Make sense? I will teach you guys how to do opacity within Substance Painter this month. Okay. Now, this is something that is being baked on, Robbie, okay? So if you're doing tiling or anything on this, then it's not going to work because it's going to tile on your model. So, you gave me an image here of like holes. You gave me an image of holes and stuff, right? But this is going to have to be a separate panel if you're doing tiling or something like that. So that's what I would do, is just like make this a separate piece, like a panel. That way you just put it on top of the tile and it kind of overrides it basically, okay? Don't try to bake things onto a tile because it doesn't work that way. All right? Everyone cool with that? Is that a cool demo for you there? Pretty cool. Cool. I'm cool if you're cool. All right. Let me know if you guys need any more demonstrations, because I think I just kind of blew through it a lot right there in the last 30 minutes. All new stuff. It's all stuff I'm sure you haven't learned before. These materials are only on the high res, mind you, okay? When you come into Substance Painter and you tell it to make an ID map, you just tell it to use material color, okay? Tell it to use material color instead of like vertex color and stuff like that, and it'll pick up these RGB values for you. It'll be part of your FBX upload, but it's only in the high res. If you have multiple materials on your game res, and that's making multiple texture sets, and that's awful, okay? So one texture set. For most people, you guys are only doing one texture set. If you're doing tiling or opacity or any other crazy stuff with me, and you're getting into the more advanced stuff, then you may have 2 texture sets. But whatever you have here labeled in Maya is going to come out as a separate texture set. So if I put a blend on all of this, it's only going to have one material there. But if I export this as my game res, then I'm gonna have Fong, Blinn, Lambert, whatever kind of materials you have there, and each of them are gonna be their own separate texture set. Oh, Robbie. We weren't ready yet, okay? Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I wish they could give you guys all this cool stuff earlier. This is the more advanced stuff. I mean, now that you kind of have a good understanding of what Substance Painter can do, I mean, now you realize, how you can use this stuff. So, it takes time to kind of build you guys up to these moments, and not all the teachers that you are working with know how to do this stuff or think that it's super important for you either. So there's a lot that we have to make sure is good with you. Sometimes in this course, I'd be happy if somebody just bakes ignore on that for me. Okay, so you guys are on different levels. Some of you are practical you guys are applying things differently, and you're on different skill levels where you've fully understood what we're teaching you. Okay, so some of the stuff in previous classes do have to be kind of lowered down. But if you ask teachers about these things, then they'll give you demonstrations if they can. Okay, your lab instructors will give you demonstrations on things. Ask for things on Discord. We'll give you demonstrations. I've got Logan who's been on here, and he's been recording videos just for you guys to give you demonstrations. Okay, so that's his that's kind of his job. He's a lab instructor. He has nothing to do but to sit here and troll you guys on Discord. Okay. No, they're good, and they're definitely very helpful. Let us know if we can do demonstrations. Right now, I have no other demonstrations to give you, so there's an hour that I got to kind of fill here. I mean, we can go over the high res model if you guys want to look at high res. I can show you what high res looks like compared to game res. We can do some stuff. Okay, I don't know. I suppose I should save this. This is pretty cool looking. Do you guys want to see this bake? Do you want to see a high res? Yes. Okay. I needs to seize it now. Okay. So this is what I'm gonna do. Since this is a plane, it's got like the best freaking UVs ever. And I love it for it. It's already UV'd for me. So let's see what this looks like now, okay? So here's what we're gonna do, okay? We're gonna bake this out. I'm gonna freeze my transforms and all of this, and delete my history and all that good stuff. Let's do match by mesh name too, so you guys understand what's going in here. Absolutely, Dustin is going to be your Portfolio 7 instructor as well. So they're, Dustin and Mike, Cornella, they're going to be here for Portfolio, and they're going to help you out with things too. The Portfolio guys know what's going on, okay? So if you have any questions, you can ask the Portfolio guys. We're the ones that are like brainstorming all these new things and finding out how to do it, okay? So bear, when in doubt, go to a Portfolio instructor if you can. As I've said too, like, I've had my hands in so many different classes that I just like, I should just be a general instructor. So I'm gonna name this my, we're gonna name this great underscore low. I'm just gonna use LO, okay? You guys can change the naming of these things. I'm just gonna offset it here. Oh, jeez. Sorry. This one's gonna be my great. I need to just combine this together. Combine together, and this is gonna be my great underscore high. Okay? And now my great low has been renamed, so I can actually go with. Oh, geez. Are you serious? Yeah, this is nothing. Let me unparent this. Whatever's going on in here. Something, okay, I have history. Let me delete history there. Now all my groups are gone. Okay. Now, I shouldn't have any other great low. Oh my god. Delete. Go away. Whatever the heck you were, you're gone. I'm gonna get rid of, Actually, let's do the shadow box back there. That way we can have a cool demo with that as well. That'll make this recording worth something, probably. But I don't need this in the high res, so we can get rid of this in the high res. Let me separate these guys out again. Because I want this to be part of the low res. I'm just going to lower this down. Make sure I'm not grabbing that. Because I'm not baking anything onto that shape. That's probably something I'm just going to project some details onto. Okay. Now this is going to be combined together. Now I'm going to delete history. This guy I do not want in here. I'm going to shift P on that. There we go. Okay, now my great high shouldn't control anything. Sorry, I got to get rid of a bunch of these groups because I have just a bunch of this information here. Now, please, for the love of God. Thank you. All right, great low. No 4s or 0s or anything. I'm going to... Okay, so this guy is done. Let's, well, great underscore high. Good. We have to freeze transformations to and do high and low still have to sit on top of each other when exporting. Yes, they have to be right on top of each other. Okay, if you don't freeze your transformations, what's going to happen is Substance Painter is going to load that model up and it's going to give it the transform, so your stuff's not going to be on top of each other. Okay, you want them on top of each other, you want them right there. Okay, if you have a problem modeling like that, right, okay, instead of you grouping things, because I know you guys like to group things, what I recommend you do here is use layers instead, okay? So I just had that selected, and I slapped it into a layer, and now I can turn this into a reference layer, and now I can't click on it at all, okay? Or I can make it a wireframe, same thing, okay? But at least, and I just turn off the visibility, whatever you want to do, okay? But that way, you can model right on top of each other, okay? That's the best way to have control over your model. I'm going to zero my stuff out so it goes back to where it belongs. Now, last thing I got to do for this thing, well, I need to combine this. Combine. And this model needs to be a blend or a Lambert or something, just one material, right? It can't be these multiple materials because, once again, that's going to make multiple texture sets. I need to make sure that this is UV'd actually before I get into things here, because that is going to mess with things a little bit. So let's shrink this guy down a little bit here. Let me just, actually my faces are facing the wrong way too. So let me grab my faces here and flip these guys inside out. That should be the way that it goes, right? UVs, where'd you go? Where'd you go, UVs? Oh geez, throw on my other monitor. All right. Yeah, don't do substance auto UV. Turn that crap off immediately, okay? That is for like if you're doing ZBrush and you're just like really, really lazy and you just want to put something in Substance Painter and kind of paint it up real quick. That's what that's for. No other purpose. And they even write it on there, experimental. It's like, please don't freaking use this. Or if you do use it, then share how you did it, because we're kind of baffled by it as well. Okay, I'm gonna unfold this guy, make sure Oh, that is weird. Why are you so funky? Let me try out the smooth UV, because I feel like that one's going to be a little bit better. Yeah. Kind of relax you out and unfold. Okay. This doesn't have to be super pretty. All right. Plane's a plane. I don't have to unfold that. We should be pretty good looking with that. Okay. I think these UVs will work. This should give us something to work with there. And we'll rotate this guy out a little bit. Yeah, I mean, if you want to flatten this stuff out, you can. I like to do that. I'm a flat guy. Because when you have UVs that are going all slanted and wackadoo like that, then it does cause some errors. So I'm just going to select everything inside of there and say unfold. There we go. I'm kind of putting it in its place by setting a shell like that. And then everything else inside has to unfold because it needs to do what the hell I tell it to do. All right. Now, I've got this guy set up. Let's delete history. I got to lose that one again because I combined that guy together. Okay, for the love of all things holy, we are ready to export this guy out. I'm just going to do this on the desktop for right now. We're doing FBX. Make sure you do FBX. Smoothing groups. Tangents, smoothing groups is all that you need on this thing, okay? Great underscore low. Go great game. It doesn't really matter what you guys name that. Let me make this part of a layer and just kind of get rid of that and pull out my high res. File, export selection, great, high. So two different FBXs, right? Smoothing groups is your hard edges and soft edges, basically, okay? That's what smoothing groups is. I didn't really have to use a lot of smoothing groups on this. Oh, maybe, actually. This stuff is a little intense in here. So I mean, that's gonna bake a little geometric. Let me see if I can soften this. Okay, I would rather this thing just be hard and bake it in there like that. It's gonna look a little geometric, but you're just gonna have to excuse that because I don't feel like doing like a high res on this right now, where I'm smoothing it out basically. Okay, so instead of me kind of softening this model out, I'm just gonna leave it like this, if that's okay with you guys. Let me know if that's confusing to you at all. But I'm just kind of skipping a couple of steps just to get things going here. I'm sure you guys love seeing me right here, like UVing stuff, right? Okay, did I export a high? I did not. Okay, export the high, and we will get into Substance Painter now. Okay. Fingers crossed on Substance Painter. It does like to lag me out a little bit when I'm dealing with some really hardcore stuff. So be patient with that if you can. Anybody have any questions with anything that I've done so far? Please let me know. I don't want anybody getting confused by this at all. We can start off with 1024. Do not use the UV tile. I mean, the UV tile workout isn't too bad. Do not auto unwrap. Yes, shoot me rando. I love randos. Go to file. My stuff is saved on the desktop. Just gonna go here. Okay. Hit me. All right, so here's my game res. You see that my my UVs are back faced, so now I can see inside of there. Okay, let's just do 3D view for right now. Keep this simple. All right, let's bake some stuff now. We're ready to go. We're getting right into this thing. Okay, I'm gonna bake. Let's do normals first, just to get started here. Use Photoshop to make decals. Is it a sticker? Like, I need to know what exactly you're trying to do, basically, because if you're trying to paint stuff in Photoshop and make it look real, I would say no. But if it's just a sticker that you're slapping in there, then yeah, you can make that stuff in Photoshop and put it in the Substance Painter. I mean, are you talking about decals, or are you talking about, well, floating geometry wouldn't really matter. The decal on the side of the machine. You're talking about the vinyl print, just the picture of Pac-Man or whatever. I mean, it's gonna have to get in the Substance Painter anyways. Custom, not Pac-Man. Yeah. I need to see what your stuff is gonna look like here first too, Robbie. Okay. But just make sure that you have the UVs done, basically. Okay. Plan it out. I want to see what you're working with. Okay. I mean, I wouldn't recommend you hand paint it here in Substance Painter, if that's what you're asking. Yeah. Substance Painter is great. I know that they're putting Photoshop brushes and things inside of here, but don't do any hand painting in it just yet. I mean, play around with it, but don't get too crazy. Okay, so I'm gonna start off here with 1024 just to get some fast results. Dilation width should be set to 1. I was experimenting with some things there. If you guys need to know what any of this stuff is, let me know, okay? Because I have lectures where I run through all of the baking settings here. I like to give the envelope just a little bit of a bump when I'm using floating geometry, but anything higher than that is too much. No anti-aliasing. I'm going to match by mesh name. My mesh names were named LO and HI. So I need to make sure that that is set up. Let's see what we get. Alrighty, that's what baked in there. Okay, we can look at the geometry. Geometry is simple, plain, and simple. 1024 resolution there. Rocking it. Okay. No problem. I am okay with that, Robbie. All right. Nothing baked down here, and that's fine because I didn't have any real details down there. Okay, so that's looking good. Let's go up to 2048 with some anti-aliasing on, just to make this a little bit cleaner. Okay. Still getting some fast results, so we're looking good here. All right. So now, let's get that ID map in here, okay? So I'm gonna come over to bake. We're gonna take normal off. There's no reason to bake that again. Let's go over to ID, and I want material color set up, so because it's gonna find my material color and do that for me. 2048, anti-aliasing, all that good stuff also works. So let's see. All right, so come over. If I click B, ooh, this is my ID map that baked, okay? Check it out. Getting like a lot of likes and follows and comments on videos right now, so my stuff's just flaring around. Okay, so I have an ID map. Now, let's do some stuff here, okay? I'm going to set up some opacity real quick. Let's start off with that. I need to first set up an opacity material. I want to use alpha test to make sure that I'm just getting masking topology here. I need to add an alpha channel. If I'm going too fast for you guys with this, it is covered in the 3.1 activity. All right, so I do cover this in my major lectures already. Right now, I'm only seeing this in 1024 too, so you guys may want to bump this up to 2048 if you want to see what exactly you're getting out of all of this. Okay, so I should have, I put a new material on and I made an opacity channel. No problem, Robbie. This is all getting recorded, so I hope you enjoy it. I'm gonna make a fill layer now. Alrighty. I'm just gonna turn on opacity here. Let's make a black mask, start off. I'm gonna add a color selection to this, and that's color selection is gonna fill out with white. I'm gonna use pick a color, and it's gonna go to my ID mask automatically. So I'm just gonna pick a color, boop. And now my mask is the reds. Pretty simple, right? It looks like it kind of baked it a little bit down here too, so I gotta watch out for that. Baked my ID map on the back face there, so just be careful with that. But here now, I can slide my opacity down to black, and now you see I have opacity in here now. Okay. So if I set like a base color to this thing, you can probably see this stuff a little bit better. Let's make, let's do Robbie a service here and make the grates metal. We'll do like a black metal for that. I'm just gonna make this material up. I'm not gonna do anything crazy with it. Roughness, opacity, yeah, all that. Opacity doesn't really need to get altered any. Let's go for like a darker metal here. It looks like the opposite of indented. I don't know. I think that's kind of perceptive. We'll have to see here, because it's the same color, so we'll see what happens. Let's change, let's put a mask on this and do our color selection here again, okay? Color selection. Now I want to grab those greens. And now my fill layer is only selected on those greens. Yeah, but that might just be perceptual there. Let's go full metal on this thing and darken the colors. There we go. Not too bad. All right, all that's set up. Let me get my base material down here too. Anything that's happening right here. You know, he's working on a Pac-Man machine, so let's make a Pac-Man machine back here, right? Height, normal. Roughness probably needs to be up a little bit more. No metal. Opacity. We can leave that out. All right. That's pretty saturated too, so I'm gonna just mute that a little bit more. There we go. Okay, and the other thing too that I didn't, you know what we didn't do here was I did not paint I did not bake an ambient occlusion map. So let's do an ambient occlusion map in here real quick. Let's see what this guy looks like too. That might give you a little bit more depth in there and really make it feel more indented, right? There we go. Okay, now this projected on, so this is a new feature that you guys haven't printed on there. You don't want this stuff on the AO, so what I'm gonna do here, I I forgot to plug that in. Ambient occlusion has its own settings down here, and you need to turn on ignore backface to always. Let's try this again. And it'll ignore that backface and render without that line there. Okay. The ambient occlusion on this seems like it's doing some terrible things to my grate here. Let me check out bakes. Yeah, like something's happening now with my metal that's causing some nastiness there. So I'm going to say that I do not want the ambient occlusion on these guys. So here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to change some things up. I need to add an ambient occlusion channel, set my ambient occlusion to replace. I'm going to make a new fill in here, and I'm just going to put my ambient occlusion back into a layer and mask out the information that I do not want. Ambient occlusion in here. I'm going to add I want a white mask, not a black mask, because I'm going to come in here. Actually, let me just add a color selection, change it to black. I should be able to just grab my greens and just paint that. What happened? Why did this change so much? What was this? My opacity? Why did my opacity change? Let me come over to my color selection because I may need to increase my tolerance here maybe. So you kind of see how there might have been like a little bit of a blur there. Let's bump up the tolerance just a little bit more. That's really strange. I don't know why. Maybe I probably have to do the same thing with the colors now too. Yeah, there we go. Okay, just like really stick it in there. Okay, well, let's get something different back behind this thing too so we can see it. Let's see what kind of reels I can put in here. I don't know what all he wants to put back here or not. I'm just trying to find something that's going to be really clear. Everyone good with this so far? Maybe I should just put a procedural back there. Yeah, just like some cables or something. I guess that works. Okay, I'm going to make this a mask. Add a black mask. I'm going to make a fill node. Just put this guy in here like this. I'm going to put a paint on this as well and paint out this whole face. Because this guy's bad. Bad news. All right. Let me check out 2D here as well so I can see what I'm doing with this, because that's kind of pretty nasty. Okay. Let's change some things up here. I want Let's get some height in there too. I want just a little bit of height generated in there. That way we're getting some values, right? Let's make this shiny. Let's make it metal. Probably don't need any normals. Ambient occlusion, I probably don't need any of that. Maybe I do. I think I want to mask the ambient occlusion out from the bottom there too. I think really the only... Let's get that ambient occlusion map out here again. And I'm just gonna mask this guy out down here too. Add a paint and mask this guy out. Why aren't you masking out? I'm in paint. Oh, it's disabled. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, that's better. And I think I need a base layer underneath this because it's looking really weird. Probably don't need opacity. We don't need AO. These guys are pretty useful right now. So let me just get one more fill node in here and make that dark. No, not in the mask. I just want like a new fill layer. Black mask. Let's make this part of the white mask, and I'm just gonna make this a dark color. And this will kind of be the abyss, actually. Let's make it darker. Full roughness, 0 metal, and black on the AO is the abyss. Okay, so there we go. Should be working out pretty good here. Okay, Mark, take care. All right, everyone doing good so far? You can kind of see the parallaxing now. If you wanted to have like a shadow box kind of thing going on back there, then that's kind of how you would do it. Okay, let's go to 3D view now. Do you guys want any more modeling demonstrations? I'm kind of like in substance land right now, and you guys are way far away from that. I mean, these things should bake your other maps too, so if I wanted to bake like a curvature map, we could bake a curvature map in here and actually get some edge wear going. That's definitely it's a good feature to kind of get some features standing out. Tell me what you guys want. We still got some time here. I'd like a black mask. Let's put a generator with some edge wear in here. I want this to be over my yellow because I want opacity to not be overridden by that. Opacity needs to be on top of a lot of this. This is my edge wear. There we go. Now I'm getting it on the grate too there. Let's change the scale of this stuff so that we're getting some lower scale stuff, I guess. There we go. I'm gonna play around with balance. The wear level I like. Or actually, I want grunge amount. So give me lots of grunge, but then take the wear level down a little bit. No, that's not working. Okay, I'm just gonna have to mask this stuff out. Because I don't want these like solid lines happening, basically, right? So instead of me getting these solid lines here, we're going to... The curvature is just really crazy right now here too. There we go. Kind of lower it down a little bit. I'm still working with just like a really default kind of base color here, so let's work with that right now first. Metalness. I don't think I want that to be metal necessarily. Maybe I do. Let's make that metal. Let's make it a little bit rougher though. We can pull down a little bit on the height, just kind of sink it in just a little bit. Base color, let's make it just a little bit darker. Not too dark because it is still metal. And I don't want these outlines though, so I'm gonna add a fill and just put like a grunge in here on that fill and let it just multiply out some of this damage. So now I'm getting just a little bit of a gap in some of this. I need my grunge to just be a little bit higher contrast. Probably scale some more. Let's see what this mask looks like. Let's lower the balance down a little bit too. There we go. Looking good, everybody. Just a little bit of a wear in there. We're set to a multiply. I might just want to scale this a little bit less now. There we go. Oh yeah. Oh baby. All right. Pretty cool effect that we're getting here for what, like 6 polygons? Right? Oh, well. Yeah, I didn't really need this much geometry actually. I could have deleted all these edges. It would have been exactly the same. I don't know why I didn't reduce the geometry on that, because that's kind of wasted geometry, but it gets the job done. And that's kind of like a parallaxing on a camera happening there with opacity. Not really a lot, but I mean, you saw how much UV space it took for that for the wires back there. So just keep in mind that that's going to take away from the rest of your model. So if you want to just put a black abyss back there, let me show you what an abyss looks like. So this is kind of what an abyss looks like, where we're just getting no lighting information in there at all. Let me lower the color down to something darker. This is kind of what an abyss is going to look like, and you wouldn't even need this back here. You could just paint it right into the mask there instead of using opacity. And that's going to save you a lot of UV space if you do something like that. But it's really up to you what you want to do with it.